Alrighty, here we go with our first match, and hand is an easy mulligan to start with, and then not a great second hand. So we are on the play. This hand does have a few things going for it. First of all, we do have one land, which is going to make Tarmogoyf castable if we hit another land. We also have Tarfire, which is pretty good with Tarmogoyf. In theory, we can Tarfire ourselves to deal some damage, and if we hit a sack land, then we can Death Shadow. So this hand is actually, I think, keepable rather than going down to 5, because if we hit a Scryland, we're actually in a good position. So I think we keep this, although mulliganing could also be an option, and we scry Verdant Catacombs to the top, which is pretty good, I will say. Just getting it immediately, and then so we cycle the Street Wraith, play the Verdant Catacombs, and now we're actually in a pretty good spot. So Snow-Covered Forest, Suspending, Search for Tomorrow, some form of Scapeshift is almost certainly what that indicates. So we get Blood Crypt and Tarfire ourselves. Now we're at 13, so we can almost be shadowing. A, B, D, almost be Death Shadowing. So Search for Tomorrow coming down. Tarmogoyf is gigantic, which is great because Scapeshift is going to be having trouble getting rid of this. The problem is if we draw something like Mishra's Bauble, that's not very good. Street Wraith is perfect though, and Thoughtseize is actually pretty good as well. So Thoughtseizing here isn't that important unless we're afraid of Simian Spirit Guide, land, Through the Breach, Titan. It seems more important to just develop a Death Shadow though for now, and then Thoughtseize on a turn, next turn probably. And so we learn that we're not up against just red-green Scapeshift. We're up against a version with at least blue, possibly more. So here we are in danger of dying next turn if our opponent has, so they'll be up to 5 lands from Search for Tomorrow, 6 for their land drop, and then they could play like a Secure Tribe Elder and kill us with Scapeshift. So we have a pretty good clock, and playing Tarmogoyf for Death Shadow won't necessarily increase that clock. So we definitely want to try and disrupt our opponent. And we do see Scapeshift. We also see 2 Lightning Bolts and a Snapcaster Mage. So if we were to take Scapeshift here, not only could our opponent flash it back with Snapcaster Mage and kill us that way, they could also just triple bolt us and we'd be dead, because once this Thoughtseize resolves, we'll be at 9. So we have to take Snapcaster Mage here. Not only is it redundant with all these cards, I mean it can chump block. So yeah, taking Snapcaster, hitting our opponent for 9, and unfortunately we still can't really do anything, although at this point these Tarmogoyfs and Death Shadows aren't really doing that much unless our opponent has like a Snapcaster to block with. So searching, and bolting. Well, actually, having another Death Shadow would have been good, but so our opponent's hand, we know is Scapeshift, one other card. So we don't draw something like Tarfire, which would win us the game, unfortunately. Bloodstained Mire is actually pretty good though, because even though our opponent has Scapeshifted another card, they actually need another land to kill us, otherwise Scapeshift won't do anything. So we do have a shot of winning this game, even though our opponent is potentially going to kill us with Scapeshift. Alright, so we plus Liliana, get rid of our Tarmogoyf, and our opponent is almost certainly getting rid of whatever they drew, which happened to be Cryptic Command, which is kind of awkward. They didn't have the blue to cast it. So they need to draw land to kill us, and if they don't, we are in pretty good shape. And they tap, and they die. So didn't draw a land, or Search for Tomorrow, or Secure Tribe Elder, or really anything. We don't know what they drew. So, sideboarding against Scapeshift with blue. So we for sure want Fulminators, possibly Virals, possibly Painful Truths. Collective Brutality does disrupt them. Surgical seems good. Spellbomb seems good. Even Grafdigger's Cage stops Snapcaster Mage. So any of these are certainly a consideration. As for sideboarding out, don't really want this Liliana because it's too slow. Rebuying things isn't really what we want to be doing. Similar reasoning behind Kolaghan's command. Let me just get this in range here. Dismember. Obviously the creature removal is going to be very ineffective. I mean, it's possible our opponent brings an Obstinate Baloth. I mean, they probably do, because we should have Lilianas, but we don't really need to worry about Obstinate Baloth that much. So getting rid of all of this is certainly an option. We want everything else, I would say. The Tarfires are actually pretty good for not only dealing face damage, but enabling Delirium, making Tarmogoyf bigger. They can also clear out a Snapcaster Mage. So Tarfire we probably want. And for here, we have 9 cards to take out and 10 potential cards to bring in. Probably just don't want the Grafdigger's Cage. Nihil Spellbomb seems better. Yeah, it seems like pretty easy to just swap these out, bring these in. Pretty straightforward. And then we'll go from there. So, game 2. Have the Virals, have Thoughtseize, have Tarmogoyf, have Tarfire. Great hand. Definitely a keep. Not really anything too nutty, but definitely a solid hand. So we just fetch up an Overgrown Tomb and immediately Thoughtseize just to see what's up. So we see not the greatest hand from our opponent. I mean, the blue versions of Scapeshift are kind of a control deck that just has Scapeshift to win the game, and Lightning Bolt is not going to be great against us here. So Cryptic or Condescend are probably what we're going to be taking here. Condescend is actually really annoying because our deck operates on such thin margins that Condescend is pretty much always going to get value. So we're gonna just take the Condescend so we can slam Tarmogoyf next turn. And so looking good for us. Just cast the Tarmogoyf. Probably should have sacked a land there, been more aggressive. Don't want to die to a bunch of lightning bolts though, but yeah, our opponent's just using them on the Tarmogoyf. So just a 2-for-1 there. Losing our Tarmogoyf is completely okay. And Tarfire. Tarfire enables us to traverse and go ahead and get Death Shadow. Now, our Death Shadow is only a 1/1, but we can grow it next turn. We probably should have been more aggressive growing this Death Shadow though. And it does in fact get Izzet Charmed due to our severe negligence on that front. So here we just want to attack this Cryptic Command with Liliana. Varls, we want to be setting up for a Varls win here, which we'll get to in a second. So opponent actually discards Cryptic. So this Liliana, I mean they're only on 4 lands. We're nowhere near dying to Scapeshift, and they suspend Ancestral, play a land. So the coast is completely clear for us here. And so we have Varls, Traverse, and we drew Traverse, but our plan this turn is to play Varls and scavenge 13 power onto Varls, which is just an absolutely busted interaction. That Death Shadow just always scavenges for 13. So 1 mana plus 13 plus 13 counters. So we have a 15/15 Varls, and we're threatening to scavenge another 5 onto it, which is lethal. And we don't even bother plussing Liliana because we have an excellent card in our hand and our opponent has no cards in theirs. And they just drew a land, so go ahead and scavenge onto our Varls. 20/20, not bad. And one punch troll kills our opponent. Pretty funny. Yeah, so kind of showcasing the power of Varls. Not a bad tutor target, I would say. Although this was kind of a really good game for Varls, I'll say. And can't always expect that, but in it for the Varls.